Yeah, if the body doesn't register magnetism and you was a fish taken out of the ocean and you were left in the environment, let's say, I reckon the atmosphere to fish seems quite blurry. But yet, when we put our heads in water, we see the water as murky. And I think the fish see that in the same way, but in retro. And with this in mind, it's the brain, I think, is turning off that. You don't need to see it. There's no point seeing it because it will impede your ability to survive. So the brain turns it off. So there's a lot going on that you just can't see it because you can't register it. But it don't mean it isn't happening. And I find this is really strange as well. It's a bit like magnetism. We're not really aware of magnetism. Not truly aware of it. But yet if we were born in an environment with no magnetism and then we came somewhere with magnetism, you'd be highly aware of it. I think you'd be so sensitive to it, you'd feel it. It's quite strange that there are sounds that are out there that you just can't register. The brain just won't register. Well, there ain't no point hearing all of this stuff because it might stop you from hearing clearly. Doesn't mean that the sound ain't there. It just makes your pitch range for survival purposes. You can hear all of this stuff. Likewise with seeing. I mean, if you could see in infrared and different things and different spectrums, it would affect your ability to survive, and therefore it's turned off. It's been turned off. It's no different from having gifts unlocked, right? So I was doing it in a last video. Actually, it wasn't the last video. It was many videos back that you can have abilities turned on and you can have abilities turned off. So being in an environment where you are protected by solar radiation, quite a lot of it via a magnetic field, your body doesn't need to generate a magnetic field. If you've got access to vitamin C, your body doesn't need to make vitamin C. This is the exact same process of in the mind. And to be able to unlock this stuff, well, that's an interesting thing, isn't it? The only way that we can really unlock it, technically, if you want to think about it, is if we make a camera. We technically unlock it because we can see it. If we make a microphone and we got a computer that can pick up these frequencies, we can then play it into an audible sound that our ears can hear, but it has been turned off. We can't hear it. Can't pick it up. No point. And then if you could hear all of these things, I think it would be such an over response that it just becomes too noisy. You won't be able to hear the things that are important. Therefore, you won't be able to see the things that are important. Your brain is no freaking different. You've got so much that can be unlocked inside the brain. I mean, even as a brain can still evolve to be able to have more upgrades, if you like, more updates. Well, if you believe that it is a computer, which I don't, because the human body is far more better than any type of AI you can make. AI is a cheaty way of getting a copycat imitation of what a human is. AI is a cheaty way of a copycat of being able to do some tasks that a human can do. But it will never be able to do what a human can do because it's not human. No matter how you build it, perhaps in the future they might start making bionic robots. I don't know, perhaps, maybe, start incorporating part that, but it still will never be the human unless you give it a human brain. But then you got to know that it's understanding it correctly, that the bot is able to understand the brain properly, which I don't think it will. And then truly, let's say truly, would you ever be able to unlock the human brain? That's interesting. I don't think so, because you would have to then install all of this robotics inside of you. But would that truly unlock your brain? Maybe in certain avenues, but not all of it. So much like the ears, and you notice that there's this massive spectrum and all the possibilities of that spectrum. And then you've got the eyes, right? What you can't see, the camera can. What you can't hear, the microphone can. And there is even more beyond this. It's Pandora's box. The mind is no different. In fact, the mind is far more advanced than the eye and the ears. It's just a part of the brain that's been unlocked to give you visual. It's a part of the brain that's been unlocked to give you hearing. In the beginning, I don't think there was much in terms of need of ears. You would have just been sensitive beings that felt vibration. Vibration being felt, your feelings. Being able to feel was probably the first vibrations that then led to the evolving of the ears, the unlocking of the ears. But again, the ears haven't finished unlocking yet because it's this much on a spectrum. How big is that spectrum? Where does it end? That side. Where does it end this side? Wouldn't it be great if you had a divine force that was able to unlock more of what you are, more capable of doing things? So, at the moment, we're protected from radiation via making a magnetic field. Does the body need to make immunities to radiation? Well, not really. But wouldn't it be great to fast track that? Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? What could you do? What about being able to cope with heat? Like advanced extreme heat. Being able to cope with that. And evolution is moving towards it, whether you like to admit that or not. Evolution is definitely moving towards that. And when you think about it, if you think about it, one of the main balance cycles that we've got is hot and cold. Hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. You see this play out everywhere, near enough everywhere. There are hot spots, there are cold spots, and then there are seasons where it all bounces in between them. So your body is learning to work this out, but it's just a slow process. It's very slow. But if you limit your mind, limit it, really limit it, what potential are you going to overlook? I mean, and then if you were given these abilities or already had these abilities, well, it would be like being shut off, wouldn't it? Why would it be shut off? Well, because you believe that AI is the be-all and end-all of everything. It's so great. Look at it. It's wonderful. Oh, it's going to be everything. I mean, I could never accept that in myself. I just can't do it. Sure, it may be able to sort through files a bit quicker. But do you reckon humans could adapt to sort through their files a little bit more quicker in their mind? Do you think that the human body couldn't evolve in the future to be able to become more faster than AI? I mean, again, it's a belief, right? And if people believe something, I mean, does it make it true? Huh? Is the doctor a doctor before they're a doctor? And what do I mean by that? Are they scientific minded? And then they're like, I'm going to go and be a doctor. And then they just fill up a bit more, but they know how to utilize this information. What are you? I'm a doctor. Well, why are you a doctor? Good question. Because I believe I am one, because I've been this, this, and this. And then there's the belief there. That's very interesting, isn't it? And it's amazing what you can shut out just by being a non-believer, but even that is still, it's still a belief. But being in this whole, I'm not a believer, you might shut down a few things. And then being a believer, you might see more. Do you reckon? Because you're sort of keeping an open mind. After all, humanity on the spectrum of life, it's good. It's more than animals. Ask yourself the question, is there any other beings out there that are way, way more on that spectrum? Have been around longer? That the spectrum has evolved beyond what humans would ever understand? I mean, and then, would you even believe it because your limited field of view? Or can you open the mind potentially to expand what you believe? And then, wow, holy shit. And then would you think to yourself that if they can do it, these other beings, imaginary for now, if they can do it and their life form, that means I can do it, right? Because I am also a life form, and I'm also a life form, and I'm also a life form, right? So when you believe it, you're embodying that belief, right? Do you think then, just in this seeing it is believing it, you would be able to do it too? So let me give you an example. Birds fly. What do humans want to do? Well, of course, they want to fucking fly. Well, they make aeroplanes, so this is a little bit more of a different way of doing it. How many ways are there to fly? If you really think about it. Aeroplane or mimic a bird? A little bit of an Egyptian idea for you there. I mean, humans want to be like a fish, right? How much more deeper can you go than the average fish? Into the depths? So that's beyond what a fish can do. So that's already surpassing it. Well, why is that? Is it because you believe in it? Or is it because you test it? Do you reckon if humans kept going and you had a family of divers versus divers versus divers versus divers, do you think these individuals would slowly but surely fight off nitrogen narcosis, if that's what it's called? Do you reckon? Do you really think it's even possible that these ones might be less susceptible to it than someone who's never dived before? They would need a different mix of gas, but these ones would be able to do it. Interesting. Is this why whales teach their young to dive down deep? They bail out before they reach the depths of what mum can do. And mum pulls back up as well. Why? Well, that's out of protecting baby. Baby goes up on its own. It's vulnerable, especially if there's any sharks. Doesn't mean that the mum whale can't go down a lot deeper. But no, she wants to go down with Litland. Or Litlans. Interesting, really, isn't it? And this whole unlocking. So therefore, there's a high level of being taught something then. And even life forms on your own planet teach you things. Teach you to be able to do things, right? How do I make this arrow fly? Well, I wonder if I make it with feathers and do it with like a stick, because they seem to fly pretty well. You know, what do you think came first? The bow and arrow, the axe and all the rest of it? Or do you think that modern humans were throwing javels? But just learned to advance javels that it got a bit too tiring running around everywhere throwing it. I want to stand still and be a lazy bastard and shoot it with some arrow.
Started with a stick.
They were probably trying to break a vine with a stick, let go of it, and it flicked back at them. Perhaps one was pointy. Oh my god, wow, that was pretty good, Frank. Yeah, that was wonderful, Frank. Then somebody else saw it and thought, you know what, I might tie this to something and recreate that. So in essence, was it the tree, the stick, or the vine that taught you to do that? And then you got to add into the recipe the human mind as well, right? And the belief. Because you just unlocked your brain because you saw something. And then you start putting these things together, joining the dots, and what have you got? Quite a successful outcome. But yet, if not for the tree, the stick, or the vine, would you have known to do that? Isn't it weird? If the stick wasn't sharp and it didn't impale someone, not enough to cause severe damage, but enough to stick in them. Wow, that's quite effective. I can't use my arm for a bit. So the pain.
All kids were playing with sticks, throwing them into some hill or something.
Well, throwing them into a hill, that would be a javel. Yeah, I'm on about the bow and arrow invention, not the javel.
But you said that first was javel.
The first was javel, but then how do you learn about bow and arrow? You think humans, it just fell on their laps? Thanks! No, it came with an event. A kid was probably, or an adult actually, was probably someone was pushing into a vine with it.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to break something. They wanted something from it. Probably just, doing what humans do. Weird stuff. And pushed into it and let go, and it flexed back. Whoosh! and hit back into them or went flying past them. And if they were using the end of the javel, one end's going to be spiky. They weren't using the spiky side, the flat side. You know, stupidity often leads to some of the most wonderful breakthroughs. Do you know that? How many times have people had to go break their arm before someone figured out? I know that. You know, Martin's not moving his arm after he broke it. After a few months, look at that. Isn't that the perfect bloody healing you've ever seen? Not like Frank's arm, right? So the pain, watching that, an event, some stupidity that led to it, and then they began to learn to wrap it with something.
And someone tried more, just not standing there.
Here comes the invention of the bow and arrow. Here comes the invention of a plaster cast. You had to see it to believe it, right? It's a very interesting world when you start to really factor in an awful lot of stuff. Yeah, it's partly that. But it's just to open your mind to possibilities. Real substance, really, isn't it? You know, I honestly think that one of the most easiest things is to mix animal species together. Humans, animals, dinosaurs, it doesn't matter what it is, you can put all of these together. Easy when you know how. Well, everyone makes it so complicated. Everything is so complicated, and then look at this. It's because of the microscope and the invention of this and the invention of that. See, it was because of this. Right you are. I'm pretty sure back in the day they didn't have any of those things and still successfully managed to do it. Should you not find that's a very interesting thing? They're obsessed with combining things. But I do believe this came from wings, though. Bird wings. I mean, collect enough feathers. And they've got to be able to bulk together when you push down. And when you release up, they've got to allow the air through. And then mimic the bird. You get quite strong doing that. But you would eventually lift. You've got to find a way to hold them all together. It's opening the mind. Honestly, if you remove the feathers off a bird, what are you left with? What does it look like? It's no different. You got arms, ain't you? This is not impossible. You can get flight. But yet you believe it's so difficult. It's more profitable to get on an aeroplane. Probably a bit more safer as well. I don't know. All depends. Yeah, but there again, my belief on that is a lot different. I just cannot. And then you get the whole mythological belief of what other animals could you combine to this whole human understanding? We just figured out poison. When you drink this stuff, usually the snake bites you, but when I managed to get this from the snake, you know, they would have gone for it, probably in small doses. If I put it on the edge of my blade and cut someone or myself, you know, couldn't live to tell the tale, but, you know, you could do it to somebody else. This you then get the whole combining of the different animal beliefs. Do you see what I mean? This led on to finding an antidote to that. But what came first? The poisoning or the snake bite or a lot of this, and then, well, you're not going to trick me with your poison, you bastard. All very interesting stuff. You see, I will not limit my brain, and I'm never going to do it. And I'm never going to think of nothing, neither. That's... I'm not an animal. Why do you think humans know how to do something about their fate? Because they were taught to look up.
Look around what you used to.
You know, I got a really weird belief as well that humans loved things that were elastic back in the day, right? Like this type of elasticity, yeah? You don't think, out of all the ancestors you've had on this frickin' planet, that they never tried to fling something out into space? Never once tried to do that.
They did.
But the question is, you got to think about what they were trying to get, what they were trying to hit at. There's the question, and what was the triggering force in that?
Birds
Birds is one.
started with something like that, or something from a tree, and then they realized that they can throw much higher, and they were wondering, oh, can you try?
The Egyptians were fascinated with aerodynamics. What, for no reason? Our ancestors learned aerodynamics from a very young beginning, let's say. I shouldn't say young. Well, early on. Early on in the development, in the belief system. Attaching feathers to sticks. And you don't think that they didn't try attaching feathers to them frickin' selves? And try and elasticate themselves off of things?
They probably did.
They would have learned that some of these sticks with heavy stones on didn't fly very well. So then they upped it a bit more. They upped the ante, I think. I think it took a little while, but they used heavier and heavier or bigger and bigger objects. And then they knew that they needed more pull force.
They tried probably with some big leaves of some plants, because when it was hot, they would do this, and then someone was making fun and suddenly felt like, oh, I am lifting a little bit.
Well, perhaps we're with a big... the fanning of would come from a fire, but I think it works better with feathers, a bunch of feathers. Also sweeping. Leaves tend to dry out, drop off. So they wouldn't be feasible. You need something that is long lasting, especially if you're a traveler. Because
no, that was more like, I think that someone just tried, like, do it, fly with it, but I realized.
no, I think they learned to fly with it. Hence why they draw Isis, is it? Iris. Isis with feathers, large feathers. Everyone looks at that and it's like, oh, it's mythological, that is. It's just a myth, you know, they were just so... Really? And you are a free thinker and a scientist. Not debating or anything like that, but, you know, that's a possibility. Love your thinking, but just have you ever thought that they've ever... And then, has anyone ever tried to recreate that? Why else would you make an aeroplane? Just, it was easier to do so with fuel and different stuff like that. Because, you know, and metal and different things. You need incredible strength, but not that much actually. Once you get to a certain... symbolism.
This myth or legend about Icarus comes from something.
Sorry, what?
Icarus,
Mm-hmm.
who had the wings just as you described, with wax or something like that.
Let's dress up as a horse. Is it Troy? A movie called Troy, is it? No idea. I don't even know what I'm referencing. I've never seen this movie.
Yeah,
a lot of these movies I reference I've never seen, but I think I understand.
That's an old story that they found out that Troy really existed.
And then you got to understand where the whole animal spirit comes into it. I mean, how many feathered blankets have feathers in them? What was their main food again? I'm pretty sure birds were in abundance. They're not so much now, but they were. Oh yeah, open minds. Too open, maybe. No, I like open minds. You can limit yourself all you want. That's up to you. That's a choice. But I can assure you, this universe and life, oh, if you think this is all there is to experience, whew, what a limit. Oh yeah. But, you know, and then I wonder what else works. Clothing. Clothing. Well, it never used to be such materials like this one. Why do they not shiver? Trigger alert. But skin an animal, wear it. Oh, yeah. How come Frank's not shivering? Why is he wearing a skin? Oh, I see.
Yeah, another skin.
It's also like antlers, right? These antlers, these whole. They say that you know, they were wearing them as rituals and shit like that. Yeah.
They have everything, whatever they don't know is ritual.
Yeah, you'll notice this. Everything is all ritualistic because it's all their narrow mind will go to is to think, oh, sacrifice, ritual, more rituals, followed by a ritual. I mean, everything that is not known, always goes to a ritual. I think we spoke about this once before. Everything is ritualistic. Yeah, but no, the antlers is not about a ritual. No. I believe that they would have known how to. You got a bow and arrow, let's say, if you're making these at that time. Don't survive very well, but there are fragments of them. You've got sewing needles made out of bone, carvings. I mean, these were put in places where there are bone fragments. So this is a lot of stuff to carry. Plus food. You carry your food. Well, you've only got 2 hands. So you would learn, because you've got an open mind, that if you took the antlers, put 2 holes in them where they are, and you were to tie these around your head, and you've got the antlers coming out. Everywhere in indigenous cultures, no matter where it is and where it's been drawn, everything is carried on the head. Everything is carried on the head. Great balance and strength is in the head. Okay? Everyone thinks it's in the arms. It's not. It's in your head. And it's on your head. It's freaking strange, but it's true. It holds you up after all. And if you then have got these antlers that are too long, you would scorch them off and you'd break them off. Well, what can you put on there? Well, you've now got your animal, food. You can make a wicker basket on it. Again, this won't survive. A little wicker basket. What are you going to put in there? Your little sewing needles and everything else. And they had these. They actually had advanced sewing needles. Quite a lot. Many of them. And this was before the times of when they understood, this was stone, made out of stone, and this was made out of that, and this was made out. They were highly trained at carving. Ice is a funny thing. It can teach you an awful lot of stuff. It really can. It's a wonderful thing. And then when you've got let's say when the ice starts shifting across the land glacier.
Yeah.
Wait, yeah.
Yes.
Anything that's beyond that layer is going to be destroyed, unfortunately, because of the movement. Anything that is built is going to be lost during those times.
Squash.
You got a lot to learn, but you will learn it. You've done a lot of forgetting, but you're gonna learn it. And again, if you have to keep learning this stuff over and over again just to forget it, to hide it, to move it, to, you know, it's a lot of lost knowledge. So, and there's the importance to be able to carve things to remember. Weird, very weird. It's all in there, like a database. There's so much there. They were so open-minded. But yeah, so they would have carved into ice. That's absolutely sure. They would have had big fire pits as well. This would have done an awful strange stuff to the area the fire were burning. Wonderful, really. Absolutely beautiful. We got close to volcanoes. They'd probably use these to cook as well. Bit jumpy in some areas, bit more calmer in others. You'd cling to things. Yep. Glass would be very important. Oh yes. But again, even if they did, you're not going to find this. You know what we don't see enough of? We don't see enough glass structures anywhere. A meteorite is like a hydrogen bomb. Right? On a planet with atmosphere, meh. But a moon without atmosphere, and you get a meteorite hit that, and it's like a hydrogen bomb goes off, and yet it's got Regaworth. You don't think it's going to make a crown?
Yeah.
The glass beads are going to fuse together in that explosion and freeze in structures. You just don't see enough glass, really. You don't see enough glass. And then what's even more strange with that, if there's micrometeorites, to the Earth, you're going to see lots of strange lights on a moon, maybe, when it comes in and smashes it. But before then, it's going to glisten, and it's going to look like light, little flickering light. That's what you're going to you'd see that from Earth, because it's quite a big structure. But I'm pretty sure that there would have been glass crowns around. Lots of glass crowns, especially from meteorite impacts, especially in sandy areas.
There is in southern Bohemia, there are stones that are said that came some meteorite, and you can find them in different places. And they are only there, and they look like green bottle glass.
Yeah, but think about all of this when it hits in and then freezes in the, I don't know, the moon is much more colder. The Earth not so cold. So and then you're going to have humans be really fascinated with this stuff. It's going to look like it's basically going to look like when you slow motion a raindrop dropping into a puddle and you see the crown. Yeah, there's just not enough of this in history, to be honest. Well, yeah, it doesn't last very long due to micrometeorites, but it will be there. Glassy structures, very interesting. Oh yes, you might even wear these on your head. Crown. After all, where do you think that comes from? Where do you think the crown comes from? And why it would be looked at as power? Because of the power of a meteorite in a sandy area, especially if it's cold.
It comes from above.
And on a frozen landscape, where you do have water beyond the surface, and a meteorite hits into that, it's going to make a crown structure out of the water, especially in a very frozen landscape, where water just freezes instant. I mean, could you imagine that? A raindrop coming in, splashing in a puddle, and it instantly freezing in place. It's going to make a crown.
Yeah.
Where do you think crowns come from? And they're going to look like they got all sorts of weird stuff in it. Don't see enough of this. Maybe you do. But yeah, everything's always sacrificial. It's no, I think it's again, if you believe something, then you are at the mercy of your belief. And you'll keep copying because you're told it and regurgitating it and regurgitating it and regurgitating it and copy and regurgitate, copy and regurgitate, copy and regurgitate. I mean, it's pretty good if you don't want to do anything. It's wonderful, but if you want more, yeah, very interesting. Life is but a playground. And you learn to embrace it, absorb it, embody it. Yeah, wonderful. Kind of weird, isn't it? Yeah, so I think I'm gonna leave this one here. So yeah, I've had some fun tonight. I mean, not really, and I have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, very nice, very nice, very nice. Two pip.